I consent to being on the video.
Okay. So, again, just some background demographic information on yourself as an individual.
I am a native New Yorker. I was born in the Bronx and then also grew up in Queens. Went to college in Boston, grad school in Pennsylvania, came back to New York. I have a 19-year-old son, work in the city, live in Manhattan. I don't know what else you want to know.
How did metal first enter your life, either the music or the culture, and in what ways did it start to manifest and become a part of your life?
I have a very good friend who we grew up in the Bronx together, and then we ended up moving. I moved first, and she moved across the street from me in Queens when we were like 11 years old. So we hung out together still because we knew each other from when we were 3, because both of our parents were single moms. And we hung out and started listening to records on the floor, on the record player, and our first albums were, I guess we started with the Eagles in Chicago, but then we started listening to Kiss, Queen, Aerosmith, New York Dolls. But Kiss, Queen, and Aerosmith were the albums we would just sit around and listen to all day after school. And then, so, those times and songs just moved to concerts and led to just always listening to music.
Awesome. Excuse me. Can you describe what it was first like being a part? Whoa, that's not my second question. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So, what does metal mean to you, and what is it as a genre?
Well, I like a kind of a wider variety of rock music. Metal, I like maybe not so much fast metal like Slayer or any of those bands, though I can enjoy them. So metal means to me just any kind of heavy rock and roll, and even within that is a wide range of music, from bands like Kiss all the way to black, dark metal, screaming that I probably wouldn't listen to. And what it means to me is the music I like, just having a good time. It gives me a good feeling when I listen to it.
What is the metal culture like?
To me?
No, I mean, like, if you were to describe what the culture or the scene is to someone who's not a part of it.
Well, that would be kind of hard for me to do. I wouldn't say I'm part of the metal culture, so from my observations, it's I think of real hardcore metal fans as people who living that life, tattooed, motorcycles, whatever. But I think there's a wide variety of people who like metal, and anyone can really enjoy it. It doesn't mean you have to actually live the metal life culture to enjoy metal.
So, can you describe what it was first like being a part? Well, let me rephrase it since you kind of answered that. How did you begin participating in the metal scene? Like, what made you branch out from just listening to it, and how did you branch out?
Well, we were going to concerts since we were 15. They had bands in Central Park, not so heavy metal bands that we started going to, like Foghat. And then we went to Kiss and Aerosmith at Madison Square Garden. And then I started to get into punk music, always loving the Ramones and the Sex Pistols. And I guess when I went to school in Boston, I was able to go to some more concerts. We saw The Clash, and just always saw a lot of concerts. And then when I was in Philadelphia, there were a lot of bands that went through in a lot of smaller venues. So I guess I was part of that culture. It wasn't metal culture, but it was definitely music culture, and a lot of bands that were more punk and new wave came through, and we were going to a lot of concerts in small venues, and we started to get to know a lot of people and get being part of that crowd, dancing and hanging out. It was fun.
So, how do you participate in that culture now that you're the age that you are?
Just trying to go to concerts and be up on new music and always listening to music. Having the internet is a big advantage that it wasn't available to hear music when I was younger. We had to listen to indie stations on the radio, read indie magazines, and go to concerts. That was really the only way. And there were some programs on TV on like late Friday night. So it was much harder back then. But now to participate in the culture and know what's going on, just staying up on YouTube and following what's going on with bands you like and following the links to those bands. My son is up on music much more than I am, so I get some tips from him and his friends. So that's.
So my next question is, do you think your age, race, and socioeconomic status, and in this case gender, affected your role in the metal music scene? And if so, how or why?
I think I probably maybe as a female I couldn't participate as strongly as I would have as a man, and also kind of walking the straight and narrow.
What do you mean?
I wasn't going to go out on the road and be a groupie or something. But I don't know. I didn't play an instrument, so I couldn't participate in the metal scene as a performer. So the alternatives, I was just wasn't going to. I didn't really know how to participate in the metal scene, except as a observer and supporter, and just going to the shows and supporting bands and buying records. Just doing it that way and at least enjoying it and helping support the bands perform. How my gender and status, I guess it limited me somewhat participating fully, because I couldn't be ensconced in the life of that scene.
So how does your preference for metal affect the relationships you make, whether it be familial, romantic, and friendly? So I wrote, does being a metalhead affect the relationships you make? Pretty much.
I think my strong feelings about music, it affects how I value it. It's terrible how I size people up, because if they don't get the music I like, or even if they don't have their own favorites, or if they're not passionate about music, I kind of, unfortunately, I probably just unconsciously judge them in a certain way, and I have less in common with them. Because I think people who like the music I like and enjoy it, there's a common bond there, and that helps. You can have a relationship based on that even, and if it's not there, you're not sharing that. If that makes any sense.
So let's talk a little bit more about metal itself. Can you describe some of the different subgenres that you know, and some of your favorites, and whether or not it affects your own identity, the different subgenres?
I'm probably not so familiar with the vernacular of metal as some other people are. Obviously, I'm not into death metal or black metal that much. I'll listen to it and probably, I can listen to it and like it. It's fine, but I'm probably not going to listen to it by myself walking down the street. I never liked glam metal or hair metal that much when it was popular, but I like it more now. I think it's happy in general, or melancholy, but I just think it's cool. So I like bands like Motley Crue, and even though they're old, I kind of rediscovered them now. And I always like Kiss. And I like some hardcore metal. I like hardcore punk music, so I don't know how that blends in with hardcore metal. I'm not that sophisticated in all the different genres, so I don't know if I answered the question.
You're pretty good.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite?
A favorite?
Like type of metal music?
I guess most of the metal bands I like, probably they're not as heavy as regular metal, so they probably fall under hair metal. Even like Guns N' Roses. I like Motorhead, so that's not hair metal. I don't know what. It's just metal. So I guess unfortunately probably hair metal. I don't know.
Very good. Do you think metal's dying, but both the musically and the culture itself?
I think there's always new genres of metal, even though if I don't know what they're called, I know I don't think metal will ever die. I think it will just keep evolving, and people will always rediscover the old metal that was before it anyway. So, especially because between records and the internet, the two, the old and the new, they keep it going and alive and available for people to listen to and discover again and again.
Awesome. I kind of asked this before, but in what ways has it shaped your identity specifically, like outlooks on life, etc., etc.?
I don't know, I love going to shows and seeing bands perform, and I love music. I love the artwork associated with the music. I love reading about it. So I don't know, it's formed some part of my identity, even though have nothing to do with any of these bands or anything. It's still, I just find them really interesting and entertaining, and I enjoy listening to music.
Do you have any anecdotes on any personally amazing experience you had, whether it was a live show or an album that quote unquote changed your life?
It's gonna take me too long to think about that.
Okay.
Let me keep that in the back of my mind if you want to.
Sure.
Go on to the next.
I only have one more question,
Okay.
which is any final thoughts or anything else on your mind that you would like to share as far as metal that hasn't been covered?
Well, you didn't ask me my 5 songs.
I don't do that on camera.
Oh, okay.
That's in the written blog. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay, say the question again. Any final thoughts?
Or anything that we didn't cover that you think should be important, that should get mentioned in the film itself?
Just that, I think there's just such a wide variety of there's a lot of bad, crappy music that I think it's important to know there's a lot of crap or junk out there, but there's a lot of really good music. Now with the internet, there's a lot of DIY, and more people can make good music and get it out there. And that, I really, the bands I really love, like the Ramones, they're not metal, but even they probably influenced metal somehow. And I also enjoy metal. I don't know, I don't have any other really deep last thoughts. I could go on and on rambling.
No, rambling's good. This is good.
No, that's it. I can't think of any life-changing album that I would want to admit to. So no,
Or
I'm gonna
any,
keep quiet
like,
on that.
maybe fantastic show you've seen, or just experience in the world of metal that.
We've gone to a lot of shows. I enjoyed my first Kiss concert just because it was, it was my, your first of anything is always special. We've seen Billy Idol. He's not metal, but he was awesome. We saw Motorhead. That was awesome. Everybody stage diving, and so that was an awesome show. No, that's it. Actually, I don't